Rumors of crazy parties, odd behavior, and covert video were all part of the beginning, but nothing could have prepared anyone for what followed. Christian King Combs, the son of Sean Diddy Combs, is said to have leaked or disclosed the covert tape that has just begun to circulate online. According to insiders, this was a direct glimpse inside one of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, the sort that people used to laugh about but never truly believed were real, rather than simply a blurry phone footage or a vague narrative that was spread in tabloids.
This time around, Diddy was brought in first. He was brought in about a couple minutes after 2 p.m. today, and we were all kind of waiting to see. We had heard mumblings that his mom might be in courtroom, that we were waiting for the children, but then nothing happened. But then, in another twist and turn, the children do walk in, but this time it was a lot smaller bunch than it was the last time. So last time you're having all of Diddy's children, except with the exception of Love, who is just a 2-year-old child, so she wasn't at court. But you had all of Diddy's children there except Love. But this time around, you just had Justin Combs and Christian Combs, meaning that there was no Quincy there today. Delilah and Jesse weren't there. Chance wasn't there. And the caretakers of his younger children who aren't of age just yet, they were not present inside the courtroom as well today.
Regardless of its complete publication, the video has already shocked Hollywood, and fans are not taking this lightly. It depicts difficult-to-watch situations, dubious behavior by drunken ladies, and an overall mood that no longer seems like a party, but more like an issue. The situation is exacerbated by the involvement of well-known individuals, celebrities, business insiders, and former public figures. Everything changed once this film came to light. It was no longer just about Diddy. It was about everyone who was present, everyone who kept quiet, and everyone who contributed to the world's protection. Let's discuss the man who did it and Christian Combs' motivation for speaking up. This is more than simply a dispute. It's a shift of the kind that turns rumors into facts and inquiries into action. And it all started with a single recording.
How are you doing this morning? How's it going, Justin? Let's see. How are you feeling this morning? How's the twins?
Christian Combs challenges convention. For many years, Christian Combs was known as Diddy's son. He supported his father at concerts, award presentations, and public events, following in Diddy's footsteps with a developing music career, a luxurious lifestyle, and a committed public image. However, in recent months, something shifted when Christian began to talk differently in interviews, giving subtle clues and making cryptic statements about remorse and things he had seen but couldn't tell. At first, most people felt that those quiet words were merely pressure or media training, but now, many close to him feel that they make far more sense. What makes this leak or alleged leak so significant is that Christian has been battling behind the scenes not only with the mounting legal pressure on his father, but also with his own internal conflict. How do you remain faithful to family when your values no longer align after seeing too much and remaining silent for too long? Christian may have been trying to draw a boundary and say, "I'm not part of this," rather than just generating drama if he did aid in bringing this film to light.
Hunting this guy for major felonies, and Fiddy seems to be sitting on the sidelines cheering. Now, that could be for one or two reasons. One is he knows things or suspects things about Mr. Combs. The other one is that he's just got a real perverse sense of competition.
One thing I know for sure is that when it comes to our culture, sometimes we cannibalize our own more than anybody else. And, we've seen the former president of the United States inspire the country to turn into Spider-Man and climb up the Capitol to overthrow the government in the middle of an election. But yet we haven't seen his mugshot or seen his kids handcuffed. I've known Justin for probably 15 years. Quincy, one of his sons, and his other sons. Those are really good kids. So to see them in handcuffs, to see them put on display as criminals, or to be put into the conversation that they somehow are ushering underage kids into the compound for their dad to have their way with them. Those aren't the.
It's tough for someone who was reared in wealth and tradition to leave the shadows, but Christian's actions suggest that he is determined to carve his own path, even if it means confronting criticism from his father, the business, and people who previously stood by him. This isn't simply a defiant act. It may also be a survival strategy, since everyone is intrigued about what was on the film.
Sometimes you have to tell Diddy no.
Oh, man, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, man.
Sean Diddy Combs' alleged list of accomplishments to be revealed soon. The names will shock you, attorney says. Whoa.
I think he's going to sing, hey. If I got invited to the white party, I'd have gone.
Especially if you didn't know.
Of course, no one knew. No one
Right.
knew.
If
And
you
then
don't know, you're
find
just
out.
a celebrity, and you know, oh, Jennifer Lopez is going to be there. Oh, Rick
That's what I'm
Ross is
saying.
going to be there. Everyone's going to be there.
And-
That would be a cool place. I want to meet those people.
Fact.
Everyone. There's raids at Diddy's house.
This is how Joe Rogan reacts when his news feed gets flooded with P. Diddy news.
It's there. My news feed is dominated by it.
Yes.
Fox News, CNN, everyone. There's raids at Diddy's house.
Now, Diddy's in a tricky situation. I think it's over.
You think it's over?
I think it's over for him as like a figure in entertainment.
Right. But you
Like,
think it's over as him as far as
jail?
like he gets a cell right next to R. Kelly?
I don't think so. I don't think
Really?
he gets
I
locked
think he
up.
skates.
I think he skates. Or he goes to
Really?
like Bali.
That's a move.
What is shown in the film? Although the entire video has not yet been released to the public, a number of trustworthy sources who claim to have seen it provide explicit details about it. According to them, it was filmed in one of Diddy's private homes in Miami or Los Angeles, and it records incidents that line up with other reports on the alleged freak-off parties. The film features young women surrounded by well-known guys and music, some of whom appear to be highly inebriated and hardly conscious. The way these women are treated is even more worrisome. Multiple sources claim that the film is especially devastating because it shows known faces in the room. People the public recognizes who might not be breaking the law directly, but are instead watching and laughing. It is said that these women didn't realize what they were getting themselves into until it was too late. It's not only about what was done, it's also about who allowed it to happen, and yes, Diddy is allegedly seen actively taking part in the whole thing rather than only watching from the sidelines. Those who dismiss the accusations as hearsay start to have their concerns dispelled when the video supposedly confirms what survivors have been telling for years. Now that the federal government has the recording, what was formerly dismissed as exaggerated or Hollywood lingo seems to be evidence. The public and fans view it as either valor or treachery. The internet exploded when the video was made public, and many were overwhelmed by astonishment, rage, bewilderment, and, above all, betrayal. Diddy, Christian, and the Combs family were revered by followers for years as representations of Black prosperity, riches, and greatness. But now that image is eroding, and the pain is genuine. Christian's actions were hailed as bold by several followers, who said that it truly takes guts to leave your own family when you sense something is off. Though not everyone agrees, some supporters believe he is attempting to defend himself and perhaps assist others by proving the truth. Others have asked, why now? Why stay quiet until things went public? Was Christian complicit before this was this move about justice? Or was it just a way to protect himself from being dragged down too? On social media platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, the comment sections were dominated by debates over whether he should have spoken sooner or if he is acting responsibly.
There's Lori Harvey, you know, Steve Harvey's 22-year-old stepdaughter, in New York looking super happy. And there's Diddy looking, nervous.
So this is fueling the dating rumors that have been going on for a few weeks now.
Yeah, they've been hanging out. Saw her getting out of Diddy's car last week at Nobu, but Diddy's people say she's just a family friend.
Matchy.
They're matching outfits.
Matching outfits?
Matching outfits.
Yeah, but if anything, that dispels dating rumors. Can't see Diddy knowingly doing that. But if this is a real thing...
His father-in-law would be Steve Harvey? That is weird.
Survey says... Oh, we haven't gotten to the weird part yet.
She was previously linked to his oldest son, Justin.
Wait, and hold the phone too.
She dated his son and then she went for daddy.
Does she call him Diddy or Daddy?
Daddy Diddy.
Damn, Diddy.
This is a massive age difference.
That doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me at all.
I don't care about the age difference. I care about the fact that that's my son's ex.
But we've also seen this where you date a girl and then you date their mom.
Yeah, that happens a lot. In porn, wouldn't call it dating. Anyway.
It's weird because that's the way you think.
Can you imagine dating your mother's ex-boyfriend?
Well, he'd be like 115.
Ah, a younger man.
Have a fun night, kids. But have her back by 11. Sport?
Harvey lays down the law in a blistering memo that has just been leaked, telling his staff at times not to approach him or even speak to him.
The memo lit up social media, and a lot of people jumped to the conclusion that Steve was on some kind of power trip. So
what was really going through his mind? I found out when I talked to Steve exclusively by phone today.
So, Steve, what happened with the memo?
I wrote it at the beginning of the year because I was trying to find out ways that I could just get more me time for me. I'm a 60-year-old man, and I could not find a way to walk from the stage to my dressing room, to sit in my makeup chair, to walk from my dressing room to the stage, or to just sit and have lunch without somebody just walking in.
Steve Harvey spoke to us exclusively this morning from Chicago, where his talk show is wrapping up its last day of production before its move to L.A. In a startling memo to staffers that just leaked, Harvey wrote, quote, "There will be no meetings in my dressing room, no stopping by or popping in. No one. Do not come to my dressing room unless invited. Do not open my dressing room."
Everyone agrees that the video changes everything, despite differences of opinion, because they were aware of who was there and how much of the music they liked came from a terrible place. It also makes die-hard Bad Boy Entertainment fans look closely at their favorite artists. The problem is only becoming worse as a result of Christian's decision, which is leading people to doubt not only Diddy, but the entire group that's surrounding him.
God gave her back to me in 2005. I put her name on the back, man. You understand me. That's mine right there. Yeah, I own you and you own me. I will kill everybody in here about your ass. Please understand that about the way I love you, Marjorie Elaine.
And I have the key to women keeping their heart attached. I was a womanizer, now I'm a woman advisor.
Disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, once known for his lavish lifestyle and living large in his multi-million-dollar mansions, has a new home as he awaits trial in his federal sex trafficking case. Last week, the Bad Boy Founder's defense team unsuccessfully fought to keep the music producer out of federal jail after his arrest. Now his new digs once house other high-profile inmates, including R. Kelly, Fetty Wap, Sam Bankman-Fried, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Diddy is currently housed at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, a stark difference from the glitz, glamour, and wealth in Hollywood and Star Island in Miami Beach, Florida. But MDC Brooklyn has been described as hell on earth, with horrifying conditions. The facility, which now houses Diddy, opened in the early 90s and is the only federal jail in New York City after the Bureau of Prisons closed its Metropolitan Correctional Center in 2021 after many issues came to light in the wake of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide just 2 years earlier.
Sean Combs is focusing on things he cannot control. He will have a miserable experience when he can call home, when he can visit, the living conditions, exercising maybe an hour a day, showering a few hours a week. If he fixates on that, it is going to be miserable, and every day will feel like a year. On the other hand, if he can learn from those who have come before him and master the experience, my business partner served 26 consecutive years for a nonviolent crime, including 8 years in the penitentiary. He never complained. He focused on his family, trying to prove worthy of the love and support of his family. If he can do that, the experience, it won't be easy. I'm not insane. It will be more bearable. The choice is up to him.
And as far as we know right now, he has been kept in solitary confinement, or the SHU right now, and he's been on suicide watch. How different is that experience from being in the general population?
It's much harder. If you like to be around people, you like communication, if you're an extrovert, and then suddenly you were isolated 23 hours a day on total lockdown, I'm not spinning that it's difficult. It will test the strongest mind. But he has to understand others have gone through it and emerged successfully. And what he and his lawyers have to understand is they have like a messaging.
The consequences of legal action are a ticking time bomb. By examining lawsuits, witness accounts, and digital evidence, federal authorities were already putting together a case against Diddy. Nevertheless, the discovery, or simply the existence, of this concealed tape has heightened tensions. This video might be the last piece required if it confirms what insiders are claiming about youngsters doing non-consensual actions. Illegal drugs. In addition to bolstering the ongoing legal case, it might lead to serious criminal accusations. Legal sources claim that prosecutors are already working with several victims, and insiders believe that if faces can be identified, timelines match, and any footage shows actions that are illegal, it could act as a connection between the testimonies and something concrete and visible. Diddy might face more than just lawsuits. He could face indictments, federal penalties, jail time, and more.
With me now to talk about another story making headlines today.
Yeah, so this one is actually sparked by these pictures. That's 49-year-old P. Diddy with his hand on his girlfriend's belly. Now that is 22-year-old Lori Harvey. They're in Cabo. She's, of course, talk show host Steve Harvey's stepdaughter. People are talking about maybe she could be pregnant. You know, he's rubbing her belly a little bit, but...
She's put up some Instagrams, I think, that show some clues. Sushi, right? Sushi, a bad thing for pregnancy.
It could go either way. But then also she posted this picture of green juice, which, you know, why would you want a flatter tummy if you really can't avoid it because you're carrying a child?
Ooh, this is conflicting evidence. Okay. Lori was once actually linked to Diddy's son, Justin. Okay, so they were together and then engaged a couple years ago to a Dutch soccer player. She told Carissa Thompson about how he popped the question.
We were in Malibu. I remember the time. It was 11:30. I thought it was a joke, and then he went in his pocket and I started shaking.
They split up later on that year. Lori and Sean were actually spotted with her dad, Steve, on a boat in Italy earlier on this summer.
That's all. Well, then that's it. He's given the blessing. They're together.
Gave
it's
his
a beautiful
approval.
thing, right? Steve once gave us a little dating advice.
This is what I told this boy who came to take my daughter out. I said, listen to me, son. Whatever you do to her, I'm gonna do to you. Now go and have a nice time.
That's graphic.
Many dads have used that line before.
No, I'm just kidding, but listen though, right? Here's the problem with Diddy and Lori, right? See, I think that like they're a thing, right? But then I kind of don't think they're a thing. Because if you ask sources close to Diddy, they'd be like, okay, which we did around the Jamaican Fest time.
Yeah, but we didn't this time, and
we did it this time.
Nobody's saying nothing.
I mean, you're right. But the Jamaican time, though, they said like, oh, she's a friend of the family. She's been a friend of the family. She's friends with everybody.
This is friend of the family week.
Friend of the family.
Let's not forget, too, she dated Diddy's oldest son, Justin, and a lot of people online, too, are making a comparison between Lori and Kim, who passed away. Obviously, Diddy's the mother of his children. And Lori actually posted something when Kim passed saying, I'm having a hard time. It was just a really nice message. And a lot of people are dragging her on the comment section.
So, okay, but so let me just say something about what Brad just said.
Furthermore, a growing body of evidence suggests that Christian Combs did not just leak the video at random. Rather, some think it was a strategic move, a legal defense, and a means of protecting himself from the consequences of federal cases, especially those involving human trafficking or organized abuse, where he might have been sending the message, I'm not part of this, I'm done protecting him. Maybe the film was already in the hands of investigators, and the public just found out about it through this leak. Or maybe Christian published it as a last resort following years of silence and cover-ups. Regardless, the pressure on everyone involved, whether they were active participants or just bystanders, is mounting, and there are significant legal repercussions. Although no one can foresee when the next incident will take place, if the tape is officially allowed as evidence. In court, it will mark a turning point, the end of conjecture, and the start of Diddy's circle's breakdown.
Diddy also allegedly forced victims to carry illegal firearms, often through coercion and the assistance of his associates working for the Combs enterprise. Not only would these associates help suppress the victims, but they also arranged the freak-offs by booking hotel rooms and stocking the rooms with required freak-off necessities like baby oil or personal lubricant. These associates would also procure sex workers and IVs that were given to both Combs and the victims after these freak-off sessions to help them recover from the physical exertion and drug use. As part of all this, Diddy and his associates transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and Diddy is also accused of transporting survivor Jane Doe across state lines when he flew her from Michigan to New York in 2003. Jane Doe filed civil suit against Diddy in fall 2023, alleging that 20 years prior, he raped her when she was only 17. According to Jane Doe's suit, she met one of Diddy's associates in Michigan and was flown on Diddy's private jet to his studio in New York. Jane Doe also provided pictures of her with Diddy in the studio, bolstering her accusations. Once there, Diddy allegedly drugged Jane Doe and forced her to drink alcohol. After that, he allegedly raped her before sending her back to the Midwest. It's a similar story from Liza Gardner, who also filed civil suit last fall. She alleges Diddy also raped her in New York, but way back in 1990. Gardner's lawsuit alleges she and a friend met Diddy at a party, and then at an after party, he gave her alcohol. He then allegedly raped her before another man also raped her. During all this, both men allegedly also raped Gardner's friend. A couple days later, Combs came to the home where Liza Gardner and her friend were staying. He was irate and began assaulting and choking Liza Gardner to the point that she
extended Diddy was a music mogul, a cultural builder, a brand in his own right, and a representation of hip-hop success for many years. In addition to being famous and rich, he was also powerful. He could walk into any room, be treated like a king or queen, start a career with a cosign, pack clubs with a single call, and dictate headlines. Nevertheless, now that everything is collapsing rapidly, the lawsuits are growing, the federal raids on his residences shook the sector, and it became clear that this was a complete collapse rather than only a public relations fad. As if things couldn't get any worse, Diddy surrounded himself with family members, influencers, producers, executives, and musicians who made money off of his show. They supported him at award events, went to his parties, and gave him words of gratitude. Publicists are hurrying to cut off their clients as his devoted network is shrinking, but they survived on the legitimacy that comes with being close to him. Brand sponsors who were formerly keen to connect themselves with his star power are now discreetly pulling out of collaborations and deleting his name from press kits, and some celebrities have unfollowed him without saying anything. The most devastating blow of all was then dealt by Christian Combs' own son, who left, and not merely in a way that would have helped expose the truth. It represents a son parting from a parent whose legacy has become too burdensome to handle, and goes beyond simple emotional isolation. Diddy's reputation was more severely damaged by that behavior than by any lawsuit or news report ever could. The once strong and cohesive home now seems divided, unsure, and unstable, and Diddy is navigating an intensifying storm in the middle of it all. There is a great deal of friction behind the scenes, according to family members. Some family members have opted to remain silent, while others are still supporting him and being faithful. His reputation as a hitmaker and businessman, which he built over decades, has been ruined. The media machine that formerly backed him is now analyzing his past. Every old video, party story, and NDA is being examined as potential evidence. The primary question people are asking in the audio comment portions of newsroom meetings is simple but important. How could no one have stepped up to stop this from going on for so long? The answer is complicated. Not only is this a fall from grace, but a whole system built on allegiance, celebrity, and quiet is collapsing. It may be the start of something bigger for the music industry, a broader examination of unbridled power and the damage it can inflict behind closed doors. People were scared to talk. Some were bribed to remain silent, and others just didn't know the entire truth because of Diddy's wealth, position, and power. But now that his team no longer controls the spotlight, that protection is gone. It's clear that this Diddy isn't just losing his empire, he's witnessing it disintegrate. Lawsuit after lawsuit, unfollow after unfollow, treachery after betrayal. However, no one can predict what will happen next.
Dickerson Neal alleges Diddy raped her in 1991, also in New York. Echoing what prosecutors would write in a federal indictment against Diddy, Dickerson Neal alleges Diddy recorded this sexual assault. Her lawsuit also argues that she's the victim of revenge porn, as Diddy showed this recording to multiple people without her consent. All three of these civil lawsuits were filed last November under the New York Survivors Act. And so too was a bombshell civil suit filed by Cassandra Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who's also known as the singer Cassie. It was with Cassie's lawsuit that we first heard in-depth accusations about Diddy's alleged illegal activity. To start, there's the gun allegation that on at least 2 occasions, Diddy demanded Cassie hold his gun in her purse. The lawsuit goes on to state, quote, "There was no clear reason why Mr. Combs required her to hold his guns, except to reinforce to his young girlfriend that he was violent, powerful, and dangerous." Beyond the gun allegations, Cassie put forth some other major accusations in her 35-page lawsuit. She says Diddy beat her, sometimes so severely that she had to hide out in hotels for days at a time, waiting for the bruises when Cassie began flirting with rapper Kid Cudi in 2011. Cassie says that in 2012, Diddy told her that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. The allegations brought forth in Cassie's lawsuit were shocking, and so too were the accusations brought months later in yet another civil suit filed by Rodney Jones, also known as the producer Lil Rod. He began working with Diddy in 2022 on the Love album, and soon, he alleges, the abuse began. Lil Rod accuses Diddy of sexual assault, writing he was, quote, the victim of constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his anus by Mr. Combs. He also alleges Diddy and his team were grooming Lil Rod to engage in gay sex. Lil Rod further alleges that Diddy forced him to have sex with prostitutes and even drugged Lil Rod to get him to comply. On top of these sexual assault allegations, Lil Rod's lawsuit also alleges that Diddy ran a gun and drug trafficking.
Something greater is about to happen. What else may there be if this video was only one moment from one person? Are there other victims, tapes, or untold tales awaiting disclosure? Others are questioning who else was in the room who saw what happened and stayed quiet, who helped organize it, and who's next. The audio is now in the public domain, being discussed in the legal community, and insiders have all but verified it. While publicists are perspiring, CEOs are reflecting on their history. And some singers who were once content to stand by Diddy are now praying their names don't make the next headlines. The entertainment business is holding its breath. Meanwhile, Christian's decision to talk or leak has consequences. It can encourage Diddy's close colleagues, including employees, ex-lovers, and even other family members, to come out, since once one person breaks the silence, others often find the courage to do the same behind the scenes. Silently, but methodically, prosecutors are assembling their case, and every fresh piece of evidence raises the possibility of a public trial. Beyond the legal dispute, though, something more significant is happening, a shift in our perception of celebrity power and quiet, a new norm where notoriety is no longer sufficient to hide the truth. Dylan's story might be the headline, but this time it's about something much more significant. What happens when people who have been shielded by fame are forced to deal with the fallout from their deeds, and what they allowed to happen? Their secrets are no longer safe. The mask is off, and the world is watching.